Okay, in the last video, we set up the menu and we set up some buttons to do some stuff, exit the program, and then the start button doesn't really do anything right now. But the other thing we did is we added an image. And to add this image, we had to call the loader to load the image. And when you start making computer games, you're going to have to load a lot of resources. You're going to have to load images, maps, audio files, and it's gonna turn into a lot of stuff. So the solution to this is to create a loading screen. And for us, I think we're just going to put our little loading screen onto the menu screen. And that will be a little bit simpler for us. And so I don't think we're going to make a full-fledged game. We're just going to show you how to do things so you can go off and be creative and make your own. So what we need to do is set up a loading screen with a progress bar and get everything going. So we're going to go into our main package and we're going to create a new class. Now I like to call this a loading manifest because after we load these files we're going to access them statically. But loading manifest is really long and you'll see why, so I'm just going to abbreviate LM. And we're going to extend the loader. Need to import it from the runtime and add our constructor and add unimplemented methods. Okay. So I'm going to change the order of these methods because it's going to bother me if we don't. Okay, so in our constructor we're not really going to do a whole lot. Most of it's going to be most of this is going to be handled in the upper level. It's going to be handled in the loader class. But what you need to know is this init method is going to be called as soon as you create this object. And what you want to put here is any resource that you need loaded immediately, you put into this method, because this is going to get loaded right away and you're not going to have to wait. You're not going to have to wait on it. Sorry, I need water. Okay, so this is going to be called right away. Now the way this class works is it's going to call this method and then it's going to create a thread, a separate thread to load everything in. That way your program isn't going to it's not going to freeze on you or anything while we're doing this. And this method is going to be in the other thread. So anything else that you don't need loaded immediately, you put into the loading segments method. And this is how we're going to be able to manage things. So in our menu class, when we first create our menu, we want to create a new loading manifest. And we're going to have to import it as well. Oh, sorry. Okay, so the loading manifest accepts a parameter called a progress bar. So we need to create a private progress bar up here because we need to access it later. PB. And then we also have to import it. And then we pass it into here. PB equals new progress bar. And then of course we have our coordinates, our size, and for now I'm really just gonna say, I don't know, let's just put it at 10 and then driver dot height minus 70. Let's make our width driver dot width minus 20. and our height will be 50. I don't know, you probably figured out that I'm guessing on these. And so our full color is going to be the color that it pretty much self-explanatory. It's going to be green, because most progress bars are green. And then our background color will be gray. And you can change these to whatever you want. If you want it to fill up red, then go ahead. But I would not do that. Okay, so this creates our loading manifest. And our loading manifest is going to load pretty much immediately. This title, we don't really need it to be in the spot, because we're going to load this in our loading manifest. So we're going to go up here and we're going to say public static title. And let's go ahead and make it all caps. Sorry, it has to be a buffered image. And we gotta import. Okay, so now we want, since our loading screen is going to be on the menu, we want this image to show up right away, or else it'll be a null value and we'll get into issues. So we want to get rid of this actually. So title is going to be one of the first things that we load. And it's really as simple as that. We're going to load it the same way we did it in the other class. And it's going to be loaded first before the thread gets started. But now we need to do some stuff with progress bar. What I always do is I say pb.update 0.01. Since we just started the progress, I would just say we want it to be 0.01 just to start with. And then at the very end, when it's finished, it's going to be at the very end of the loading segments when it's finished loading. We're going to say pb.update 1.0. And that will mean that it's finished, and we can always get that value from the progress bar, and that's how we'll find out if the loading manifest is finished loading. So now we are not going to need this anymore because we made that image static. So we're just going to say lm.title, and there's our image. Now we still need to paint our progress bar, which is very simple. pb.render, just like everything else. So now let's do a quick test run, make sure it's going okay, and see we have our progress bar working. I thought it would be a little bit further to the right, but that's okay. Another thing we need to do, it doesn't make a big difference because right now we're loading one image, so it's pretty much instantaneous. What we want to do is on our start button, we are going to go down to here and we're going to say enabled equals false. Because we don't want people to hit the start button before every single resource is loaded. And that way we don't have to deal with any null pointers, and that gets really annoying when you have those. So, oh, I haven't done this method yet. Okay, so since we're going to do this, we need a step method. Now the step method is part of the game panel, and this method will be called right before the paint method is called. And so in the paint method, you want all of your rendering to be done. You want as little math, as little data allocations as possible. You want to avoid those as much as you can in the paint method. because if you don't, about that guys, my screen recorder is very limited. But back to what I was saying, if you put too much into your paint method, it will cause a lot of lag. And so to avoid that, we have the step method, and that's where we're going to do most of our logic and everything else, basically. So every time it steps, we're going to say if pb, or exclamation mark, pb dot is finished. So if it's false, we want to go to our start button and we say enabled equals true. So then, as soon as the progress bar is finished, we're going to re-enable our start button, which it will be instantaneous when I run this. I know it's not a big change, but it will be when we add more resources. So that's how you set up the loader, and I think that's all I'm going to cover in this tutorial. Make sure if you like my videos to like and subscribe, because that's what's going to give me the motivation to keep making these videos. But I'll see you next time. We're going to start building our maps, and we're going to start putting our game together.